Iowa State was one of the more impressive teams in college football for the 2024 season, and in large parts, this was due to their fantastic wide receiver duo. We did a video talking about Jayden Higgins, who is a player that I like quite a bit, but today we're going to be talking about his teammate in Jaylin Noel. Noel was incredibly productive in the 2024 season and has put up some really solid numbers throughout his collegiate career, yet it feels like he is flying under the radar in what looks to be a very deep wide receiver class. How high could Noel hear his name called in the 2025 NFL Draft? That is what we will be going over in today's video. But hey guys, if you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon page, where for $5 a month, you guys will get exclusive access to my in-depth draft guide and big board with over 500 scouting reports and evaluations. It has all the analytics, measurables, and testing numbers you need to help you be successful this draft season. Leave a comment on this video and let me know which prospects you guys would like to see in the future, and without further ado, let's take a closer look at Jaylin Noel. Noel has been with the Cyclones for 4 seasons, but has quietly been very productive for them. In 2023, Noel finished the year with 66 receptions for 820 yards and 7 touchdowns, which were pretty solid numbers. When I watched the tape this summer, I really didn't see it with Noel. I thought he was a good college receiver that didn't really have much expectations to be a pro player, but I couldn't have been more wrong because his 2024 tape was awesome. He had 80 receptions for 1,193 yards and 8 touchdowns and has been one of the biggest risers on my board, and I think I might be higher on him than most at this point. The first thing I really like about Noel as a receiver prospect is he has a really good route tree and is a good route runner. He shows awesome short area twitch and quickness, and he does a really good job of selling his routes in order to get open across the middle of the field. I was really impressed by his ability to combine routes together, force defenders to bite, and then change directions so fluidly. He is one of the better overall route runners in this class, and he showed that ability time and time again for the Cyclones this year. I also like what Noel does against zone coverage. He's got a very high football IQ, and he showed the ability to find the soft spots in zone coverage and make himself available for the quarterback. He comes back to the football, and he does a really nice job of high pointing the ball in the air, which I loved to see. Noel has a great first step off the line of scrimmage, and he showed some solid explosiveness when breaking out of his routes, and I loved his versatility. Iowa State played him a lot in the slot, but he took some snaps on the boundary as well, and he took some snaps in the backfield. He made plays no matter where he lined up. He's listed at 5'9" according to the Senior Bowl measurements, which is smaller than what I like for most receivers, but being that he is built bigger with a frame of around 200 pounds, he is a bigger receiver, and I like that about him. There are a few areas of Noel's game that really concern me. We mentioned the size, which I do think could limit his overall versatility in the NFL, but I also think his speed could. He's not a slow wide receiver, but he's surprisingly not the best deep ball receiver in the world because he isn't the fastest player. He's good in short areas, but he doesn't have very good long speed. He's got yard after catch potential, but I just wasn't really impressed with his long speed. I also think drops have plagued Noel throughout his collegiate career. He has 19 drops throughout his collegiate tenure, which is way too high from any receiver, and I think he has to do a better job of securing the football at a higher level. Lastly, the area where I do think his size could hurt him is against physicality. He's not amazing against press coverage, and he really disappointed in terms of the length. I think that was the most startling number, according to the Senior Bowl measurements, was just how short his arms are. Unfortunately, he probably will be limited to a slot-only role in the NFL because he lacks elite size and he struggles against more physical defensive backs. Jaylin Noel is an awesome tape study because he knows how to win in one-on-one situations. He's a crafty route runner who's really good after the catch and can be a good gadget player for you. But in a loaded wide receiver class and limited size, limited speed, I could see him slipping down draft boards. I do think he's going to perform really well at the Senior Bowl, particularly in the one-on-one drills. And he's my number 14 overall wide receiver and my number 83 overall prospect in the class, because I really value his route running and his ability to make plays happen with the football in his hands. In terms of a scheme fit, we've mentioned it multiple times throughout this video, but I believe Noel would fit best in the slot at the NFL level. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but with his ability to get open and be used in motion, I think NFL teams are going to have a lot of fun finding ways to scheme Noel open, and I think he could be a really good slot wide receiver in the NFL. My player comparison for Jaylin Noel is a player who I loved in the 2024 draft, who ended up falling for really the same reasons that I'm concerned for Noel, and that is Miami Dolphins wide receiver Malik Washington. Both of them had stockier builds for slot receivers. They were undersized in terms of their height, but they came in at around 200 pounds, and they are really crafty after the catch, despite not having great speed. They were both excellent route runners that could create separation at a high level and were hard to bring down after the catch. And I think Noel has a ton of similarities to Malik Washington's game. Jaylin Noel knows how to get open. He's a good separator in one-on-one coverage. He's explosive off the line. He's good when breaking out of his routes. And I think he's going to be a good receiver at the NFL level. And ultimately, I believe that Jaylin Noel will be a third-round pick in the 2025 NFL Draft.